official podcast of the Jacksonville Public Library.
I'm Hurley.
And I'm Jenna.
Today on our show, we're talking about the importance of diversity in children's books, which is a topic that is near and dear to our hearts over here at Completely Booked, isn't it, Jenna?
Yes, it is. We love these authors that we have on our podcast today. They are, most of them, young people themselves.
Yes, they are. They are Dontavious Pittman and Natalie McGriff.
Yes, and both of them have written children's books that are representative. And this is super important right now. Young people need to see themselves in the books that they read.
That's right. Relating to a character in a book is probably the most powerful thing you can see as a kid. And it makes you feel way more capable as you learn and grow and become an adult.
That's right. We have Dontavious up first. He is the author of a children's picture book called I Didn't Ask to Be Creative. He is an architect by day, and he not only wants to encourage kids to keep their creative sparks alive, but also wants to help parents learn how to ignite that creative spark in their children.
Yeah, his book explores this topic and has some of the most captivating illustrations we've ever seen, right? They're so
Yeah, it's a really
pretty.
beautiful book.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And we talked with Dontavious back in October. Here's our chat with him, Dontavious Pittman. Dontavious Pittman, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. You wrote this beautiful children's book called I Didn't Ask to Be Creative. And I'd love to have you read from it today, if you don't mind reading a few pages.
Awesome, I would love to.
Great.
So, we're going to start with the part of the book that's like my favorite part because it explains everything about the story. It goes, well, I didn't ask to be creative. It's what I was born to be. I'd rather step outside of the box than do things normally. I wake up to a different beat with music everywhere. I make guitars out of air while my stage is just a chair. Little boy, with your imagination, get down and make your bed. Be careful with the jumping, son, before you break your leg. Today we have a list of chores. I'd like to get them done. After all the work is finished, we can have a little fun. Why make my bed when I could be a pirate and sail the floor beneath, searching for the sunken treasure before I brush my teeth? I need someone to man the deck. Would you care to be my mate? Not this second. We have things to do. The fun will have to wait. I'm about to go make breakfast. Get dressed so you can eat. Once again, please make up your bed and be sure to brush your teeth.
That's so cute.
It's so
Thank
cute.
you.
So we're hearing from your protagonist, and what's the character's name?
His name is Kyle.
Kyle, and his mom too. So they're kind of battling it out a little bit. He says, "I want to be creative," and she says, "No, that's not a pirate ship. That's your bed. Go make it.
Right.
We have things to do."
Exactly.
Yeah. So what made you want to write this book?
So it was a goal of mine. I wanted to write a children's book. I said it one day. I was like, I'm going to write a children's book. And it was a point in time in my life where the story actually made sense for me to write. So at this point in time, my mom was going through like depression, and, you know, she worked a lot, and she was making a transition from work. So basically this story, was kind of like a letter to my mom, basically telling her, like, you can be creative, you can use your imagination, you can do anything that you want to do. You don't have to sit here and let your circumstance control you. So, that was the reason I wanted to write it. And hopefully I inspire others to actually get up and want to be creative and follow their dreams.
Yeah, and why a children's book instead of a book for adults?
So children's books are illustrative. People look at the pictures and, you know, they get engaged just by looking at the book without even reading the words. So I wanted to write a children's book to actually inspire the children to inspire their parents. And actually get the children to understand that parents go through so much to sacrifice for you guys. Why don't you, at least try to help them with their struggles?
And the illustrations are beautiful. How did you meet your the partner that you worked with the illustrations?
So Max, we met through a website for freelance artists. So we got connected. I looked for like weeks and months for Illustrator, one that could really bring my vision to life. And so I found Max, and I was looking at other works that Max had done. It was another book, and I was like, wow, who did these illustrations? So once I came across Max's illustrations, I was like, I gotta have Max do it. And then once I started explaining the vision, Max made me more comfortable. She was like, hey, look, we can get this done. I can do this. We can set deadlines. And that was it. So we just continued with the process. She made it come to life.
Wow. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you originally studied architecture in college. How has your education kind of helped you in your creative process?
So architecture is more of a technical art. So it's helped me with making deadlines. And it's helped me with coming up with a concept and sticking to it. But it's also kind of hindered me because I never see anything as finished. I always go back and say, hey, I can tweak this. I can move this around. I can shift this. Maybe these drawings could be better. So it's kind of a gift and a curse.
Yeah. I feel like that's any artist, though. Nothing's ever complete.
Yeah,
Never.
true. Is that a struggle you had with your book, too?
Yeah, so it took me a year to write it just because of the text. I wanted everything to be a rhythm. And so I was writing stuff and I was like, nah, that's not going to work. So I crossed it out and then I have to start the whole page over. But I kept sticking with the concept because I wanted the story to be told. Mm-hmm. So yeah, architecture is great for conceptualizing, but it's hard to see it through sometimes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm glad you stuck with the rhythm aspect, though, because it really is a story that you want to read out loud. I remember you donated a few copies of this for our project with the South American Library. We have a sister city relationship with the South African Library, and down in the Nelson Mandela Bay. Okay. And so they have a few copies of your book in their library, which is so cool. But when you first donated your books, I was flipping through it and I just immediately started reading it out loud because it just calls for that, you know? And it shows that you put that rhythm effort into it. And I want to know more about your take on diversity in children's books. There's a big push for that right now in all types of books, but specifically in books for kids. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say about that? What's the importance of that to you?
So I feel like diversity and inclusion in children's books in particular, they help tell a story for everyone. Everyone feels represented when there's a book about them, or everyone feels a connection to certain children's book characters. I mean, I know you guys have read children's books and you're like, I can relate to this character. And I feel like everyone needs to be represented. And also when there's just one story being told, or just one type of person being shown, or one kind of character, then there starts to set a standard and like a normal way of writing. And I feel like there should be no standard. So I honestly, I feel like in all aspects of life, even with beauty, there should be no standard. We're all beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
what can diversity in children's book teach not only kids but also parents?
Parents buying diverse books for children can show their children that everyone is pretty much the same. And they can show everyone how to love each other because they understand everyone's struggles. The world is so big and diverse. Why not bring that into your home? And I feel like that can eliminate a lot of problems that we have in the world today if everyone just understood their neighbor.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. I agree. So you're a big advocate for encouraging parents and families to make time for creativity at home, and that's a topic you address in your book. What are some ways of making time for creativity when everyone's so busy all the time?
Oh, man. Well, even me at home, I struggle with it sometimes, but you have to make the world an adventure. Everyday tasks and adventure. Like if you're vacuuming, make a game out of vacuuming. If you're putting away groceries, make a game out of it. Even in the book, Kyle, at one point of the book, he starts to go cloud spotting. When him and his mom are going grocery shopping, he's walking through the parking lot. He's like, look, there's an elephant. That shape is a pear. And his mom really, didn't see it, but he's trying to get her to start being more creative by showing her, you don't need time, or you don't even need money. We can use our imagination anytime, any place.
Yeah, so what advice do you have for parents who really want to spark their child's imagination?
So I would say encourage independence. If your child wants to do something, give them your blessing. Make the child see that trying new things isn't bad. You should always encourage your kids to just want to be free. So even if even if your children are afraid to try something, just say, hey, you can do it, and encourage them to do things that they wouldn't even normally do. You know how sometimes kids say, oh, I don't like that, without even trying it? Make them do it anyways, because they don't even know what they like. Yeah.
Everything's an experiment with kids. So we had another mom on the show once was, saying that there are like just little scientists, because everything they're learning is new, and everything they're experiencing is something new. So I think that's really cool. And your book, I Didn't Ask to Be Creative, is self-published. What are some of the pros and cons of publishing a book yourself?
Oh man, so benefits are creative control, and you get to understand the entire process. So that way, if you ever get approached by a major publisher, you can say, hey, I want this, that, and the other. You'll have leverage. But cons is marketing. It's exposure, because basically you have to do all the work yourself. When you work with a big publisher, they do everything for you, but they have control.
Right.
Yeah. So I think anyone writing should try the self-published route first, and then go into major publishing, because you'll already know what's going on before they even start throwing the terms at you.
Right. It's kind of a trade-off. Get to have creative control, but you also lose some of that marketing aspect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard.
It's tough. But you should do it. Self-publishing. It's great.
So we talked a little bit about your illustrator, Max. What advice do you have for children's book authors who are looking for an illustrator for their book?
I would say find an illustrator that's going to help bring your vision to life, but not kill your budget. A lot of illustrators, I know they're great, and just, a lot of creatives want to be paid for their work, but sometimes they do charge quite a bit of money, especially if you're a self-published author. There's not a big budget behind you, so you want to choose somebody that's going to help you and not hurt you. Yeah.
I see that.
And what tips do you have for self-published authors who want to promote their books? You talked about the pitfalls of marketing that comes with self-publishing. What are some strategies that you took advantage of when you were first marketing your book?
Find every outlet to market yourself, and never stop looking for an outlet to market yourself. Like social media is a big thing now. Use every outlet that you can, do advertising, reach out to different people that are even doing the same thing you're doing, because networking is key when you're trying to promote yourself. So always keep your name out there. Like this weekend, I'm doing a book fair in Riverdale, Georgia, and I was reached out to somebody that was a children's book author. She was like, hey, I'm doing a book fair. You want to do it? I said, yeah. And even though, sometimes you won't have like the huge paydays at the book fairs, you get to connect with people. And, people will tell other people about your books. And then somebody will say, hey, let me check this book out that you're talking about so much. So networking is key.
What about Jack's Book Fest? Do you think you'll apply to be in Jack's Book Fest this year?
Of course. Yeah, I was a part of it last year.
Oh, awesome.
It was so fun. It was so many authors. Actually, I met a couple of people that have placed me in different book fairs at Jack's Book Fest. It's awesome for anybody self-publishing to do Jack's Book Fest, because it's a great way to network. I even met Tanika Hughes.
Oh yeah,
she was
that's
here.
Right. Yeah, she was a guest on our podcast too. She's great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So yeah, I'm definitely signing up.
Excellent.
February, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you hear our big announcement about R.L. Stein?
I was so excited. Oh my gosh.
We are too. We're
Isn't that
like,
gonna be cool?
oh my gosh.
I was so excited. I've been watching the Goosebumps series on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, man. I know the new movie came out last Friday, I think. I
Really?
still haven't seen it. Yeah, Goosebumps 2 with Jack Black.
Oh man, I haven't seen it either.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh man.
Are you working on a new book now?
I'm working on a couple of different things, but I am working on I won't say it's not a children's picture book. It's more like for middle school students. The new book is about how to deal with grief. Yeah, there are a lot of examples of books that talk about grief, but none really tell you how to actually deal with it yourself. They'll tell you how other people deal with it, and they'll tell other people's stories. So I kind of want to tell my story in this book and hopefully inspire somebody.
Do you do a lot of research for these books? Kind of the age group that you want to do, development stages and stuff like that?
Yes. So even with writing this children's picture book, I had to dial it back, like the vocabulary and stuff, because I wanted to put like huge words and stuff in there. But looking at, some of the research, it's like you got to choose smaller words to get them to understand it and actually want to read it. You don't want to just throw an encyclopedia at them because nobody would read it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of psychology and science that goes into developing children's books that a lot of people don't realize. And like we have early childhood specialists here at the library that help put our storytime curriculum together. And there's so much that goes into it that I had no idea.
Right. And that's with, any topic, not even such an abstract, complicated topic like grief. How do you approach that when writing for a middle school audience?
So you have to actually think about, I had to actually think about where I was at the time when I had to deal with it. I was in middle school. So there was a situation that happened with me, and I just wanted to portray how I felt during that situation and how I was dealt with during that situation and just put it on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really real life experience with me, but I will be using facts to basically display what I want to say.
Well, you have Illustrator involved in that book as well?
I actually want some pages to be illustrated. I used to read the the American Illustrator. It was like it was a chapter book series when I was a kid, and like Three Musketeers and Headless Horseman. Some pages would be illustrated in the book. I want to kind of do something like that.
Yeah, like the title, like chapter pages. I remember always had illustrations. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Great. And we have one more question for you.
Okay.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, man. So surprisingly, I wanted to be a roller coaster designer.
You're the second person
We've
to come
had
on the
that
show and say
before.
that.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. So
What games did you play?
So when I was about 8 years old, my uncle gave me his old set of Connects. You guys ever heard of
Oh,
Connects?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when I got that set, it was sitting for a while. I was too into sports at the time, so I let it sit in my closet. And months went by, and my parents asked me about this set. They're like, "Hey, why haven't you played with that yet?" I was like, "I don't know." They encouraged me to do something new. So when I finally opened it up, I got so intrigued by all the pieces and how to connect the stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make everything in the little manual that they give you. So I made everything in the book. So then my dad bought me the roller coaster set. Ooh. So it was for Christmas. And when I tell you, I opened that box up, I got that roller coaster done. I think I opened it around 10 a.m. I got the roller coaster done by 1 p.m. And I was playing with it. It was like a 6-foot long roller coaster, and it had like mechanical parts and battery operated. It was amazing. But I also, that same year, I discovered Roller Coaster Tycoon. Mm-hmm. Once I got on Roller Coaster Tycoon, I thought I was about to be a theme park mogul.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. My 5th grade teacher was all about Connects. He was kind of like science-based teacher, and we had the whole room was full of Connects. Like we would all have groups where we worked on one. And like, yeah, we had the big roller coaster too.
That's amazing.
Oh,
dang, your school sounds
fun.
cool.
Yeah,
right?
It was so fun.
Do you think that sort of laid a foundation for architecture for you?
Yeah, that actually led to me wanting to do architecture because I started making little buildings with the Connects. And my mom told me one day, she was like, hey, this kind of feels like you're doing architecture because you're not using the book anymore. You're designing your own things. She was like, you should look into that. And this was probably around 8th grade when she told me that because I kept using the Connects. And I looked into architecture and I really liked it. So it was coming time for me to apply for high school. There's a technical school where I'm from. I'm from Tampa. And so they had an architecture program. And I applied for it. And ever since then, it's been architecture.
Wow. Yeah. So that creativity really paid off as a kid.
Yeah. I'm just waiting on my big break now. Yeah.
Well, we hope it comes soon, Dontavious. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
You heard the man. We need diverse books. If you're a parent, you can check out Dontavious's book, I Didn't Ask to Be Creative, from our local author collection right here at the library.
Yeah, and Dontavious had some pretty powerful wisdom to offer to self-published authors in the area as well. If you're a local author with a book you'd like to see on the shelves of the Jacksonville Public Library, hop online and find an application for our local author collection. You can donate a copy of your book to the nearest library branch, and we'll consider it to be included in our collection.
You can learn more by visiting jackspubliclibrary.org and searching local author collection. And we have another opportunity coming up for local authors in the crowd at the Jax Book Fest, which is coming up on February 23rd. It's a self-publishing workshop. So if you have a book you've been working on or an idea for a book, please come by the Jax Book Fest Saturday, February 23rd and learn more about publishing.
Indeed, that's a free program that we can help you, and you can self-publish your book at the library.
Next up, we have Natalie McGriff, who is a 13-year-old author who lives right here in Jacksonville. And you may know Natalie already as the author of the series, The Adventures of Moxie McGriff. It's the story of a young girl who struggles with self-esteem issues, and she overcomes them by unleashing her hair's magical powers. Such a cool story.
Yeah, this is awesome. And the story is based on Natalie's real-life self-esteem struggles. Her goal with the book is to inspire girls like her to take pride in themselves, creating positive images of girls of color.
So cool. And Natalie wrote her first book when she was just 7 years old.
That's crazy.
That is not something I can say about myself. How about you, Jenna?
Not at all.
And I don't think most people can.
I would have never even thought about it as a 7-year-old, let alone a 13-year-old.
That's true. But we will say that Natalie has one of the coolest moms ever. Her mom also joined us on our show. Her name's Angie Nixon. And she talks about how her encouragement of Natalie really brought about this book.
Mm-hmm. They really worked together, which is a really cool mother-daughter project. I think.
So cool.
Yeah, and it turned out incredible. And they also raised a ton of money at the One Spark Festival to print and release the book to the world. And today the book is available on our shelves right here at the Jacksonville Public Library.
That's right. The series is called The Adventures of Moxie McGriff. And we had the best time talking to Natalie and Angie on our show a few months ago. Here's our conversation.
Natalie McGriff, thank you so much for coming on Completely Book with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So to start, I know you co-wrote this children's book or comic book, The Adventures of Moxie McGriff. Would you read us a little bit of it to get started?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Natalie tries to run her fingers through her hair and they get stuck. See, my fingers keep getting stuck because it's tangled and nappy. I hate my hair. It's so ugly. Natalie, why would you say such a thing? Your hair is beautiful the way it is. No, it's not. If it was straight, it would be beautiful. Natalie's mom began to look sad. She couldn't believe the words that were coming out of her gorgeous daughter's mouth. Nat, you are an amazing little girl and your hair only accentuates what an awesome 8-year-old you are. Your hair is the way it is intended to be. You should be proud. You were born that way for a reason. This is exactly how you are supposed to be. It is important that you learn to love yourself and never change for anyone. We both have natural hair and it's super cool. Your hair is beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, and don't you forget it.
Yay, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So you wrote this book with your mom, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about deciding to write this story.
Well, the reason I decided to write the story is because I didn't like to read and write, and I didn't like my hair. And I hated it, really, and I didn't want other girls and other people to feel like me, and I didn't want them to want to, like, perm their hair or straighten their hair or anything.
That's awesome. So this is a great message. And have you heard a lot of good feedback from other people reading it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the part where she saves the library. We think that's awesome.
Yes. Well, she saves the libraries because the monsters are like, they want to destroy the libraries because they can't read and they're stupid and stuff. So they don't want other people to be able to read because they don't want to feel dumber about themselves.
Okay. And has the library always been a big part of your life?
Well, yes, the library has always been a big part of my life because I come and watch. Well, I used to be in plays here and I come watch people speak and yeah.
What's your, which library do you go to? Do you know which one is closest to your house? Go to the main? Is the main library your library?
The main library.
Okay. That's so cool. So you've been here several times.
Yes.
Okay. And why do you feel the message in your books is so important for other kids, your age and even younger?
Well, I feel like my message is important because there's not a lot of people of color on TV shows and books, so there needs to be somebody for them to look up to.
Absolutely. That's super important. And Natalie, your mom is here with us too. What change have you seen in Natalie, Angie, since she's started this journey of writing the story?
So we've noticed a lot of change. She reads more now, which is great, which was one of the main reasons that we decided to get her to write the book. But also her self-confidence has went up tremendously. I know yesterday my mother was actually doing her hair and was like, oh, I can twist it up and it'll be really curly when you take it loose. It'll look like that good hair. And Natalie was like, my hair is already good, Mom.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you're right, I'm sorry. And so that's what it's all about. Before she really hated her hair. She would come home crying, asking can she get it straightened. And so we're super happy that she's done a complete 180 in that regards.
Yeah. And what do you think the importance of having diversity in books for kids is?
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so important to have diversity in books because, as Natalie stated, oftentimes if you don't see someone on TV or in a book that looks like you don't think you can attain that, whatever it is, right? Whether you be a superhero like Moxie McGriff, or if you're reading a book about a Black doctor or a female president, right? Like if you don't have those examples, you may not have anything to really aspire to. So that's the importance of having diversity in books and on TV shows and things like that.
Yeah, well, we love that you guys took it upon yourselves to create this message.
Now, you guys had a really interesting way of getting this book published at One Spark back in 2015. That was unbelievable, right? Yes. Tell us about that.
Tell her, Natalie, what happened?
Oh, well, we published the book so that other kids and other people could read about it. And
tell them about One Spark, though. What'd you do? How'd you win?
Oh, we entered my book into the contest, and we won, and I got some money.
Wow. How much money did you win at One Spark?
$16,423.69.
She didn't even have to. She remembers that. That's like ingrained in her brain.
That's like a huge deal. I would remember that too. That's amazing. And what did you guys help publishing the book with that money? And yeah,
well, one, it helps publish the book, and then the other part of that goes to my college fund for college.
And we paid Roosevelt the artist, and we published a ton of books and we sold them and everything. So publishing it can be a little pricey. Yeah. And then of course, we want to make sure we pay our artists, because we're not artists. We can't really draw too well. We want to make sure that we're not skimping out on them, so we pay them well.
That's smart.
Now, Natalie, what advice do you have for young authors like yourself who want to write their very first book?
Always read and always be able to write, because it will not get published if you can't write and spell right, and got to learn your grammar. So, yeah.
This is good advice.
Yeah, that's solid advice, I think. Yeah.
I think almost every author that we've talked to, when we ask them a question like that, they do say, like, make sure you read. That's a huge thing. Like, you have to know what style you like and, grow your vocabulary.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. What's the main thing I say? The reason you need to read.
So my vocabulary can expand, because nobody wants to read a boring book that's like hi, me, mine, all that stuff.
We have to learn more words.
That's great advice. And you said that went to your college fund. Do you know what college you want to go to?
So my mom was against it, but I want to go to FSU.
You have a Florida grad? Or?
Yes. Go Gators.
Why FSU?
So I can make her upset.
Well, she's a preteen. Yeah. I'm getting ready for that stage.
Oh, yeah. That's from the heart right there.
That's a perfect answer. And what are you guys working on now? What's next?
Oh, another book, because I already have 3 published out, so I'm working on my 4th book right now.
Any sneak peeks? What's it going to be about?
A water monster that's trying to destroy the kids and everything. So let's see what happens
them
next.
Sick.
Yes. And Moxie McGriff comes to the rescue?
Yes.
Of course. And we also want to know, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be either an obstetrician or a cardiovascular surgeon.
Oh, my goodness.
She attends, what school do you attend?
Darnell Cookman.
I went there. Hey, high five. Go Vikings.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a medical magnet now, and so she's over there, and she said she wants to be a doctor. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Gosh, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know what that is. What is that? Obstetrician.
The doctor that
delivers babies.
Oh. I have 2 friends that I went to college with that that's what they do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Lots of school. That's exciting.
Lots of school.
Do you like school?
It's okay.
She has certain subjects that she likes.
Yes.
Science, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely science and medical.
Okay. So there's actually like medical classes there that you take.
Like last weekend, we dissected a frog.
Ooh. In 6th grade?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I did that like as a senior in high school. Gosh, I'm jealous.
Duval County Public Schools.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys both so much for coming. This has been really fun. Thank you.
You for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie.
Man, I am super impressed with Natalie, aren't you? She's such
Yeah.
a driven young lady.
You can tell she's done interviews before too. I was impressed.
Yes, very professional.
Yes.
And we think it's amazing that she was able to overcome self-esteem issues by writing and publishing a book.
In a series. There's more than one,
Yeah,
guys.
right.
Yeah, she's rolling them out. And you can learn more about Moxie McGriff and her adventures online at moxiemcgriff.com. She also sells merch, which is really cute.
Yes, she has
Oh
these
my
enamel
gosh.
pins
They're
that,
really
oh,
cute.
we need to buy some. They're adorable.
Yeah, it's great. You guys got to check it out. So thanks to Natalie and Angie for taking some time to come on our show. It was such a pleasure.
And as we mentioned before, our Jack's Book Fest is coming up very, very soon. So mark your calendars for Saturday, February 23rd. We'll be joined by authors R.L. Stine, who is, of course, the best-selling author of the Goosebumps series, along with Mike Thaler, who you may know as the author of The Teacher from the Black Lagoon series. The Book Fest is completely free and open to the public.
And you can even have a chance to meet R.L. Stine in real life.
What?
Yes. Dinner with R.L. Stine and a dramatic story time.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, that's the night before Book Fest, and he'll be there for dinner, and it's at the main library, and it is a ticketed event. It's a fundraiser through our JPL Foundation. You can find tickets for that at jplfoundation.org/rlstein. They're going fast. So
They sure are. Hop
hurry
on
up.
them, y'all.
Hurry up.
Yeah, very limited tickets available for dinner. More available for story time.
Correct.
But still, hop on it. Please subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, and we'd love it if you rated us and left us a review.
Yes, let us know how much you love us. We love to hear it.
We sure do. We're narcissists that way.
Indeed.
Please visit us online while you're at it, jackspubliclibrary.org/podcast. And while you're there, take our survey.
It is on the right-hand side of that page. It says, "Take our survey!"
Exclamation point! Follow us everywhere at Jack's Library. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them. Follow, hit it,
Follow. Ooh, fill it.
follow,
Hit.
follow. Ooh.
I love that.
This podcast was produced by Brian Thomas, aka BT, aka Producer Brian.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.